G'day, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Detour Live. We are well and truly into the home stretch. 3 stages to go. As always, joined by 4-time national road title winner for Australia, Johnny Trevorrow. Welcome, John.
G'day, Sam.
Hey, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I was meant to introduce Sam. You cut
Go
in.
on.
I'm talking to Sam. I'm just not talking to you.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's clear the air. Last night, I've made a colossal error. If he's messaged me and he said, "I hope you back Kwiatkowski, he's going to win." So I put the bet on, and then I got a little bit through the stage where I started to panic. I thought he was going to get dropped, and then I have to blame Robbie McEwen because in the commentary he said, when they were trying to gap Hershey, he said, Kwiatkowski's chopped off, his day's done, great ride, great effort. And I assumed that meant he's finished. So I've cashed out, and we know what happened. And it's I don't think I'm going to live that one down. If only I had have gone to the kitchen and made myself a coffee at the time, and if only I didn't have the coverage on, we would be fine.
Well, we'll reverse the roles. I've taken back my guru role, and you've taken my iffy role. So that's fine, mate. We're all good now. Okay.
Yeah.
How nervous would you have been when they were rolling down the home straight, though? That obviously discussed who was going to win.
You knew that they were going to give it to Kwiatkowski because he'd worked hard to get the King of the Mountains points, and he'd been with the team for so long. Carapaz, there was no way it was going to happen. Anyway, we've got a massive show. We have got Matt White, change the subject. We've got Matt White, we've got Alan Peiper, we've got journalist Andy Hood. And before we start, we've got 2 very special guests. We've got Darragh McQuaid and Brent Copeland. How are you, Darragh? How's it going?
Morning. How you going, fellas? Okay. We're looking good.
We're following the team bus and the team cars to the stage start. So given that we're in France, the signal might be a little bit unusual, let's say, low quality. So if we
really
signal, I'll just blame.
We're getting used to that on this show.
We have had a clean run of 3 or 4 days with no Wi-Fi issues, and then suddenly we're back to square one. I thought we'd ironed out the kinks. That's all right. How you found the tour, boys? You must be pretty happy with the results, given that you had the jersey for 4 days.
Yeah, look, it's been a great tour for the team. Apart from the, I'm sure, devastation, disappointment, Sam, and then Mikel the other day. To be holding the yellow jersey for 4 stages was magic. We're all in for Luca today for this somewhat sprint stage, but they've changed the finish a little bit from the plan. It's gone onto a very tight little road, and there's a few lumps in it, but Luca's got great legs, so we'll see how it goes today.
Fingers crossed. Well, look, great to catch you two, because you two are at the head of the overseas section of the new Mitchelson Scott team. So welcome aboard, Brent. Fantastic to have you with us, mate. And don't tell me we've lost him, have we?
No.
You're still there? And how are you jumping into this new role of chairman, Darragh?
Did you get that?
Yep. How are we settling into the new role?
Yes.
Was that?
Was it a sausage? Not the sausage roll.
Yeah,
the new roll.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't mind the sausage roll right now, actually. No, but listen, it's an absolute privilege to lead such an amazing group of athletes and staff. So we're both super excited to get stuck in and try out a team and bring it as success, if not more than it's past,
We still got him? Can you hear us all right?
Bit of a challenge there.
Choppy, as the man might say. Choppy.
So you guys, you must be really excited about the success over just the last week with the team, but also the tragedy with the ladies yesterday with Annemiek and Spready.
Yeah, look, I think that's a classic example of elite sport. Is one day you're up and the next day you're down, and Sam knows a bit about that with his crash. But yesterday was very unfortunate with Annemiek and Amanda crashing out of the Giro Rosa, which Annemiek was successfully defending, and they were both obviously preparing for the World Championships next. On the same day we win at Sabati with Dion Smith, so it's a fairly irregular.
Yeah, I'm going to have to step in, fellas. I think the internet connection's absolutely woeful. And look, in the first week of the tour, we would soldier on with this and we just fight through. But I know where this Wi-Fi issue is going to go. So what I suggest, we'll call back in a time and we'll pre-record where we know we've got good Wi-Fi. And we'll be able to thoroughly pick your brains then. But yeah,
we might have talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow earlier would be great. Get you in your hotel room where you got good good internet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's still answering that question from 2 minutes ago. If he,
I think
that's all right. We're gonna have to leave him there. But yeah,
I'll send him a text.
Send him a text. That's a bit of a shame because
I tell you what, I only found out that those guys were coming on about 30 seconds before we started the show. So very happy that I've got even though I've been wearing it every day, the Mitchell and Scott clothing on with the bosses looking at me. So,
you know what, John? Moving forward, we've got a new rule on this show: no live interviews at the start or in any crowded areas. I can't. I honestly, I can't go through it. It's too stressful.
I reckon we'll just about get this right by the end of the tour.
Yeah, for sure. Now, as you said, breaking news. Obviously, not really breaking. It happened yesterday, but Annemiek and Spready crashing out of the Giro. They'd obviously be pretty gutted about that. And as particularly, obviously Spready's in good form, but Annemiek with the Worlds next week and the fact that she was leading the Giro, absolutely shattering. And Gills, obviously, crashing out of a race, you can only imagine what it was like for someone like Van Vleuten who was leading the tour.
Yeah, and like we spoke about a couple of days ago, the Giro Rosa for those girls, it's their pinnacle event. It's the biggest race of the year for them. Obviously, cycling been on pause, like we always say, was a super important race for them, and they were motivated. Annemiek was certainly looking like she was in a demanding position to win that title again, having won it last year as well, and also in such great form since the restart that she was obviously going to be a huge favourite for the world title to defend that world title again in a week's time. So yeah, obviously she'll be absolutely gutted.
Were you at the training camp that she joined with the men's team earlier in the year?
No, I haven't. I haven't been at that camp with her, but I've heard a lot of stories about it, and I'm probably happy that I wasn't. I think she puts the boys to the sword most days, I think.
Yeah, and phenomenal teammate. Obviously, all the riders around her, they love having her on the team, and they inspire the rest of the group to reach further heights. So yeah, it's a real shame. And if she doesn't race for the rest of the year, given that she's not with the team next year, that'll be the last time that she races with that group. So extra levels of disappointment.
I don't think I've got a hugely stacked calendar the girls this year. So yeah, it will be the last. I imagine the last race that she was doing with the team, which is a shame. But yeah, as we say, that's bike racing.
Yeah, that's right.
And I haven't heard whether Spready, whether Amanda Spratt will be able to get back for the Worlds. I know Annemiek's out for the season, but Amanda's got a shoulder that sounds a little more dislocated, and I just wonder if she'll be able to get back for the Worlds.
I think the big thing with Amanda is that she was diagnosed with concussion And obviously, we were talking about that on the show a couple of days ago as well, the concussion protocol. So will be interesting. I mean, you know, in rugby, it's a 2-week stand down. A lot of those contact sports, it's a 2-week stand down. In cycling, as we spoke about, the protocols are very black. They're not black and white. They're very grey. So whether or not she can be back for the Worlds will be a question to be answered, I guess, later in next week.
Now, some more big news to come out of yesterday was the Jumbo Visma DS that had been booted off the tour. You know, we're always saying bring back the Biff in sports, but I'm not sure if this one is a good news story for the race. But apparently he's had a bit of a fracas with one of the UCI officials. They were checking the bikes or whatever after the stage. And as I said, we caught up with Alan Peiper earlier today, and this is his reaction when we asked him about it.
Alan Peiper.
Oh, no, sorry. Almost pressed the wrong video. Obviously, the breaking news today was one of the sports directors from Visma has been booted. Have you been on your best behaviour, mate?
Well, I'm not driving, and it's my boss, Martin, who drives the car and waves to everyone out the window. So I'm in the hot seat, you know, with the radio next to him, so I can't really get into trouble. But
but he wasn't driving. It was for having a blue with the officials at the bike check after the stage.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the details were, but it sounded like it got a bit physical.
Yeah.
Now, Wendy Superfan is breaking some news for us. She said she heard that Roglic's bike was broken by officials. Other people checking bikes for trained. I don't know what that last bit about.
Are they trained? Are they trained? The people checking bikes, are they trained? I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Explain what the protocol is, Bewley. Like what happens at the races with the UCI and checking the bikes and stuff?
Well, they check the yellow jersey and potentially the stage winner's bike after every stage. I'm yet to be in that position of wearing the yellow jersey at Tour de France. So I'm not entirely sure of what the protocol is, but I think what they do is they do an X-ray of the bike to check if there's a motor in there, which there absolutely isn't. But what I read on Cycling News, like Alan was saying, we don't know the details, but by the sounds of it, they must have tried to take the bracket, the bottom bracket out of the frame of the bike and damage the bike, which would be of course frustrating. They'd have to build a whole new bike up for Primos today, for today's stage and that. But they weigh the bike, they X-ray the bike, and it's a protocol that's been in place for a couple of years now, and I don't really know the details of it to be honest with you.
It must be frustrating, as Billy said, if you're at the top of the mountain, you know, there's so many logistics going on, and Roglic would have had to have rode the bike down to the hotel. And then when you know, obviously there's protocols, but you can understand both sides, like the frustrations there.
Yeah, look, it sounds more like that some damage was under the bike because he would have had a spare bike on the team car anyway. So I'm sure they would have just grabbed one of that to ride back down to the hotel. Because this was the top of the Col de la Loze, that really hard day after 17. It wasn't yesterday. So it's just taken another day for it all to come out. So they all had to ride back down that 9-10K back to their hotel. So it was probably getting a bit frustrated. And as you said, Jonesy, you get a bit antsy towards the end of a 3-week tour.
I said that to Bridie, stages 13 to 18, mentally, you're a different person. You're not very fun to be around. And the littlest things give you massive irritation. I remember back then when people used to say to me, not sure about that latest backstage, you know, music was a bit off or whatever. Oh, I'd flip out. I think there was times where Jerry tried to even rib me on the bus one day, and I remember biting back at him, and people look at me like, geez, join the unemployment queue, buddy. Like, yeah. So
but you did understand. No, I understand it. It's day 18, and I'm getting a bit snappy when people cancel our winning bets and things like that. I don't handle it like I used to.
Yeah, well, just on the stage, pretty impressive from Ineos. They were under a lot of pressure, and doing the research, John, was that the factor that you knew they were going to come out firing?
Yeah, Carapaz, I got to admit, surprised me, and I shouldn't have been surprised because he's a quality act. But he'd been in 2 fantastic breaks the 2 previous days and done most of the work. So he was absolutely going for it, especially up that Col de la Loz. I mean, he was amazing that day. So, but I knew this was their last roll of the dice. That was their only day they were going to be able to win a stage, because they weren't going to win the sprinter stage today, the race tomorrow. So they had to do something, and they certainly did. I mean, they made the bike race maybe a tad lucky that Hershey fell off. I don't know how they were going to beat him. They would have been trying. But he's got the King of the Mountains jersey, Carapaz as well. They've got first and second in the stage. So they really have sort of saved their Tour de France.
And Bills, you had the opportunity to commentate for the cycling coverage in Canada for the last 40 Ks with Swaino. What was that like?
Oh, it was awesome. Great fun. So I wasn't entirely sure of what the protocol was, whether it was actually a commentary or what the story was. But when I got on there, it was actually more about Swaino's been doing it every day, I think. And they have a couple of different, I guess you can tune into the commentary and watch the race, or you can tune into the I can't remember what they called the segment, but it was just Swaino and I. Basically, we were watching the race. We were talking about what was happening in the race, but also we were just sharing stories. Swaino was well prepared, actually. He was asking just all sorts of questions about the Tour de France, my experiences there. We told some stories about racing, him and I racing together. So yeah, an hour and a half passed pretty quickly. It was great to see Swaino and tell some stories, try to give some opinions on what we thought was happening in the race at that time. And we had a big discussion at the finish there about how Ineos was going to arrange the stage victory between those 2 guys. It was good fun. Really enjoyed it.
Now, the big snippet they got from your commentary was the section of the gravel when you were questioning, why did they even have this part in the Tour?
Yeah, and I stand by that statement. I mean, look, cycling it's a forever evolving sport. Iffy and I spoke, earlier last week about the fact that maybe there's an argument for having these shorter stages. 160k makes the racing a little bit more exciting, but also on the flip side of that, it's important to keep some traditions in cycling. We've got Paris-Roubaix, we've got Strade Bianchi, we've got these races that bring that aspect of gravel and cobbles and bad weather. We bring all that stuff in, and those races are unbelievable to watch, super exciting, fun to race. Well, yeah, fun, scary to race. But that gravel section yesterday, I guess it was the only way they could link that climb to the rest of the stage. And they did use that gravel section last year, but it's one of those gravel sections that it doesn't promote attacking. It doesn't in any way affect the result of the stage, other than the fact that somebody can have an unfortunate flat tire like Richie did. And thankfully he got back. But, that was a potential moment in the Tour where he could have lost his chance of finishing on the podium in Paris, all for a gravel section that actually added nothing to the race. So in those situations, you sort of question why it was there. And I think the ultimate answer was, sure, it linked a couple of roads together, but they're always looking for a spectacle. But it didn't provide a spectacle. It just provided disappointment, potentially.
Yeah, it was actually a very, very good effort of Richie's in that he's punctured. He didn't panic. He knew he didn't have a teammate. Elizondo had already been spat at the top of the last climb. So he had no teammate near him, no team car there. The Maverick car was even a bit far back. He decided he wasn't going to change with them. He just kept going with a flat front tyre around those bends. He's not the greatest descender normally, and not that they were descending, but they were going pretty quick. But he had to hold that up, get around the corner, and wait until the team car got up with the bike. And he rode it for it must have been a kilometre with a flat tyre. It was a pretty good performance, really.
And he's a real fiery bugger too, Richie. Like, you can tell when he gets aggro, he's going to pull back 10 seconds, every kilometre. So
I'd love to know what he said to Mas when he finally caught them. A little word to him.
Oh, yeah.
Because those teams were trying to definitely, they understood that Richie was out the back with a flat tyre, and there was a couple of teams there that tried to expose that. They were like, if we can make sure that Richie doesn't get back, that's helping our chances. And like you say, if he did bloody well to hold it up with a front wheel. I mean, if you puncture a rear wheel, especially on a gravel section, it's not ideal, but it's better than a front wheel because the back wheel can do what it wants. As long as you control the front of your bike, you've got a bit of a better chance. But he had no control at all. And like I say, it was just a gravel section in there that really, or the only excitement that it provided was, will Richie get back?
Yeah.
Yep. Now, we've got a jam-packed show to get through. We've got also Luke Dirbridge coming up later in the show. It's going to be awesome catching up with Durbo. But let's get into our chat with Matt White earlier today. Joined, as always, sports director Matt White. What were your thoughts of yesterday's stage, mate?
Yeah, it was always going to be the toughest stage of the tour. There's times we've gone higher, there's times we've gone longer. But yesterday was just relentless. 6 climbs, 5 categorised and 1 uncategorised. And it was always going to be the last roll of the dice for a lot of people to try to move up on the general classification, and it was going to be a sticky day all round.
I was very impressed with Hershey. Probably he would have given it a shake. I know the two of them would have been trying to 1-2 him and all that near the end, but he's just getting better and better and becoming more and more confident in himself. And I thought, until he laid it down, that is. But a super effort.
Oh, he has been the revelation of 2020, without a doubt. Without a doubt. What he's done at this year's Tour de France for a rider of his age is just incredible. He does come from a very good pedigree. He was world champion in Innsbruck only a couple of years ago in the under-23s, but he's taken that next step into the world tour level and at the biggest stage of our sport with 2 hands. And it's a bit of bad luck, but there's probably no need for him to take those risks on the descent. But it's cost him the KOM jersey and a very good chance for us. Another stage win.
It's funny, they interviewed Katowski after the stage and he didn't really have much sympathy for him because he wasn't working in the break. And he said, you want to take those risks then? So be it, tough titties. It's funny how riders get like that when they're in the break.
Yeah, well, even going back to the first day when in Nice, when Adam Alaphilippe and Hershey got away, there was the same story. Adam was telling me that he was really crystal cranking in the breakaway to try to win the stage at the finish. So look, you can get away with it once or twice, but once people sort of spot you doing those sort of shenanigans in a breakaway, they'll try to isolate you pretty quick.
What are you expecting for today's stage, mate?
Yeah, look, it's Matt Heyman checked this stage out 1 month before the Tour de France, and we had a look on our app that we check the courses with, and they've actually changed the finish. So it was a very straightforward sprint finish, but there is nearly 2,000 meters of climbing in that second half of the stage, which is not easy. Milan San Remo has under 2,000 meters of climbing in 300 kilometers. And the difference is the last 20 or 30K was on pretty big roads and it was a straightforward run-in with no wind today. But they've taken the tour route has been changed in the last month, and they're on smaller roads, and it's going to make the race a lot more nervous than it would have been if they'd used the original route.
Do you think that Bora and CCC will try and unload Bennett? Because it's fairly lumpy through there before the sprint. Do you reckon they will try?
Yes, I think they will, because they've got nothing to lose. They've got nothing to do tomorrow, and that's their only chance. Because at the end of the day, they can't. Well, they can, but Sam Bennett has got the better of them when it comes to a pure sprint, and they know that Caleb's scraping through here by the skin of his chinny chin. So if they can isolate Sam and Caleb, well, then the chances are a lot better for those guys, for their guys to win than if it's a straightforward sprint. Caleb and Sam are just too fast for Sagan.
And if they can unload Bennett, it could be a 40 or 50 point turnaround for the green jersey.
Look, it's not over till it's over, and if that would be their thought today, that we've got to do it. Tomorrow's a hill time trial. We've got no one on GC. They'll throw the kitchen sink at it, and if it works, it works. And they've certainly got nothing to lose. And I think, especially with CCC as well, they haven't got a stage win here. They haven't been able to get Greg or Matteo up for anything, and I think they'll push as well.
And for you boys, Luke are up for the challenge, Whitey?
100%. Luca's cruising through, and for us, the harder the better, because if it is selective and they do drop down the sprinters, well, Luca's certainly not going to be one of the ones who's dropped. And our best chance, like it was a few days ago in Lyon, is Mez gets in a reduced group sprint.
All right, great insights there from Whitey. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong, and hopefully Mez can be saluting at the finish there. Now, we've got a special guest, Iffy, a guy that you've spent a lot of time with on the tours.
Is he there?
I'm here.
Andy.
Yeah, there he is.
Andy Hood.
Can you guys
How
see
are you,
me
mate?
through my setup here with the steering wheel?
Yeah, fantastic, bud. Hopefully the Wi-Fi works, because we were just trying to do that with Dara a minute ago, but it didn't work. But anyway, how are you, bud?
I won't miss the exit. You know how it is in France. You miss the exit, you got to go 50 k's before you can turn around. We should be okay.
We don't want that happening. Now, really keen to talk to you about, like, I'm missing being on the tour. But what's it like being a journalist on the tour this year with the whole COVID bubble and everything? How different is it?
Yeah, well, first off, great to see you guys. We miss you here this year, I have to say. It hasn't been the same without you. It's been a very strange tour in many regards. Here we are. It's in mid-September, so you really notice the difference just in the light in the sky. The sun is lower. The trees are starting to change. It hasn't been nearly as, it hasn't been nearly as hot and muggy as it usually is in July. So in many regards, it's been a...
Yeah. I knew this was going to happen.
Started favourite, slipped and fell. We might have to message Durbo and tell him, mate, warm up. You're coming in from the Randwick Street end. Okay. Well, that could be Andy Hood. Great insights. It's
Great insights.
And
just while he's trying to get, we didn't really introduce him very well. I reckon he'll try and come back. Here he is. But Andy Hood is an American journalist, lives in Spain, works for Velo News, and one of the most respected journalists in the cycling game. And he's back.
I'm back.
Are you back, Andy?
When did I cut out? Basically at the beginning, or?
Yeah, just start from the beginning, mate. No, you're right, John.
You were talking about you were just starting to explain what it's like, how different it is in at this time of the year in the bubble. You were trying to explain it.
Yeah. So as you guys are well aware, the team bus area is completely off limits. The finish line is off limits. So they've set up this kind of almost Olympic style mix zone where everyone is kind of stuck into these pins. So the riders are required to kind of go through the zone for the sign-in every day, and as well, it's set up at the finish line. But it has been frustrating because we've almost, like, I just saw Whitey in your feed there. That's the first time I've seen him. I saw him one day come through the mix zone. So we're missing. We're not talking to the riders at the team buses. We're not getting those emotional reactions at the finish line. We're not talking to the sport directors, which is really, makes our job is the written press much more complicated, because that's where you get all the good stuff. I just heard what Whitey was saying. He's so good at disassembling. And, the riders come through the mix zone, and they've been good about stopping and that we typically get in a tour that helps us really kind of tell the story.
If Durbo's internet's no good, I'll tell you what.
Gossip, a lot of big.
There's some quality stuff here.
Incident that happened the other day at the top of Col de la Loze in one of the. I know that 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So.
You there, mate?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can. You're back.
Yeah.
Which incident were you talking about? And Andy, which incident was that with the sports director?
Yeah, can you guys still hear me? Okay, yeah. So it's taken. I'm not on the edge of the on the edge of the Alps here, so the signal keeps coming in and out. I think plus a few times.
Yeah, look, I think we're going to have to shut it down, Johnny, because if we're in these areas, I don't know if it's going to improve. But
yeah, it has been very frustrating. You know, we've been kind of missing.
Yeah, look, apologies, Andy. I think what we'll do is we'll do a pre-record, mate. We'll catch up hopefully in the next couple of days, and then that way we won't have to worry about the signal dropping in and out. I think that's probably the best way of doing it.
We might do a pre-record earlier tomorrow, Andy, before you head off to the race. How about that?
That's perfect.
Okay,
right,
mate.
Guys.
Well, thanks, mate. Sorry about that.
Talk to you tomorrow, pal. See you, mate.
Geez, we're having an absolute stinker, guys. We really need to bring this show back in a big way. Now, one thing is guaranteed. There's no dropouts with Alan Peiper. He gave us some great insights. This is the catch-up with Alan earlier today.
Alan Peiper, UAE, you guys have been a revelation in this tour. So tell us the story.
Yeah, well, sometimes things just come together, John. Of course, the basis is you've got to have a good leader. I mean, everything stems from that. And I think, Tadej proved last year in the Vuelta that he's a good leader. I think the management is still coming to terms with grasping the fact that they have got a guy who can win the Tour de France. Look, and we've come close with the team we've got. But for next year, we need to change a few things, that's for sure, if we really want to be a power.
So by what you're saying there, mate, you're sort of alluding to you don't think you're going to be able to win it this year.
Oh, no, I think, he's still got a shot, but 57 seconds on Roglic is going to be a tough call, We've been to Planche de Belfi a couple of times to do recon of the course and done simulations. Tadej did some really good times when he rode over as well, so he's got the confidence that he knows the course and he can do well on that course. But 57 seconds on Roglic won't just, not that it's out of reach, but it's going to be difficult. So, already looking forward to, what we can do better.
Yeah, but sorry,
sorry, mate. I was just going to say there's always a lot of regret in a tour where it comes down to seconds. Obviously, I've spoken to you about regretting cashing out the Kwiatkowski bet halfway through the stage last night. But the stage that you lost time in the crosswinds, that must be pretty hard in retrospect to deal with, knowing if that didn't happen, how tight the battle would be.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. In retrospect as well, they wouldn't have let him ride away in the Pyrenees over the Pure Sword and take that time back because they would have been on top of him. But I would say, he would have been within a stone's throw of Roglic now. Maybe they would have been even Steven, going on bonuses and stage wins. But, it's easy to look back. But, as I said a few days ago, if Tadej gets in a position to win the Tour or can win the Tour this year, we might look back and say, well, it was sort of a bit of a blessing in disguise that he lost time because we didn't have to defend. And Jumbo-Visma defended all the way, and we just snatched it off him in the time trial and slipped into Paris in our slippers.
I got to tell you, I've fallen in love with this guy. He's just a super kid. And to think that at 20 years of age, he's on the podium at the Vuelta. Now at 21, he's knocking on the door of winning the Tour de France with 3 days to go. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. But he just seems such a nice, down-to-earth young man. Tell us a bit about him.
Well, you're right, John. He is a nice, down-to-earth young man. He came to Tour Down Under last year, and then he did that with Neil, and he still walks around, even here at the Tour de France, quoting Neil, saying, "Let's get the fuck out of here." and then I flew into Australia for Cadell race, and then after the Cadell race, I thought, okay, I'll have a nice morning on the beach before we leave for the airport. Get a call at like 7 o'clock from Tadej. Alan, I lost my passport, and it was just Australia Day. So we spent the whole morning, going to embassies and consulates and the bank and the post office and all the rest of it, trying to get some papers in order for him. But he was just so cool, calm, and collected even then, And that's basically how he is. He's a kid that smiles from morning till night. Not very often disappointed. I must say after called La Loza, he was a little bit disappointed, but we all were. But he bounces back really quick. And yesterday morning, making jokes in the bus, that Alex had to lead him out, for the sprint yesterday, which was never going to happen because there was 5 mountains. But he's a really good kid. And the other thing is really grateful to everybody around him. Listens and takes everything on board. Look, Cadell was never outside the top 30, and I said that to Tadej before the start of the tour. I said, you've got to make sure you're always top 30 so you're not taking a time split for nothing. And I think, most stages he's been around 25th. Even the other day in the Lyon, he was 10th. And he takes that stuff on board. It's when I tell him about my suggestions for gears, or he just takes it on board, which is just really refreshing in to work with a champion like that.
Some great insights there on Pogacar. Here's part 2 of our catch-up with Alan Peiper.
Tadej said yesterday that he felt a lot better yesterday than he did the stage to called La Loza, and I sort of had an inkling going into the final he wasn't quite as good as we'd hoped, because he was asking me for a Coke. He was asking for another bottle of mix, which is energy drink. He was asking for, for another gel. And we still had a couple of riders there to take it up to him. But, when a rider starts asking that much stuff, coming right into the final, it sort of can be he's a bit nervous, or, he's over anxious. But, we did have a plan that De La Cruz would go to the front before the really steep start started and try and disturb the Jumbo Visma train. It was Bahrain riding on the front, and De La Cruz asked if you should still stick to the plan, and I said, look, depends how you're feeling. He asked Tadej. Tadej said, no, stay in line. So I had sort of a feeling that's the way we should leave it. But anyway, De La Cruz got on the front, and I think he put Tadej a little bit into the red there. It's hard to say and hard to reflect back. There's no blame on David. It just is as it is. But anyway, it was a fantastic man-to-man battle, all the way to the top. And Primoz is the best rider of the race. We've seen that stability. His team's been superb. So I think that stage came down to the wire, and I think everybody knew that Lopez was the man to beat that day because of the altitude.
What's been the key for this resurgence of young superstars? Like in the past, you sort of see these Grand Tour riders peaking in their early 30s. Yeah,
well, I think, Dan, and you know that, having been around Green Edge and Australian Institute of Sport people for a long time, that that whole sports science evolution that started maybe 20 years ago with federations, with the Brits and the Australians, and then came into World Tour teams through initially through Sky and also through Green Edge, has taken over the World Tour sport, and most teams have a performance department and are working on those the quote marginal gains. But I think all of that filters down, through the levels, through the under 23s, juniors, even the schoolboy level, and these kids are, they've all got a trainer and they've all got better equipment, and they're all, looking at their weight, they're looking at what they're eating, and so there's definitely, the kids now are much better prepared and developing much faster. The only question I have is, how long will it last? Will they still have the length of careers like guys did before? When they had time to come on and mature and ripen in their own time, without being probably ready before they're mature.
I suppose it's also a combination of exactly what you're saying, and the fact that the teams are managing them much better and not just burying them like I used to do in the old days.
Yeah, that's right, John. The guys have so much better possibilities than we had when we raced. Me, but even more so you. With we have a chef here the whole Tour de France. We have a sports scientist here at the whole Tour de France. Their food is mapped out on a day-to-day level. I get a plan. I get an extra feeding plan from the nutritionist about who's standing where for extra feeding, what's in the bidons, which gels are they getting, and sort of. So there is, I remember riding Milan-San Remo, being in the front group of 12 riders, never seeing anybody for 300 kilometers. There was no team car, there was no radio. There was 2 feed zones where I got 2 bidons on the side of the road. So I had 6 bottles for 300 kilometers. I mean, and any wonder you would get hunger knock in the end. But, times have changed, and I think, and if you see the speeds and the intensity that the Tour de France has been ridden at this year, also because of the COVID lockdown, that everyone's so much fresher, you can see the changes have come about through all of those things.
Some more interesting insights there. How are you going doing San Remo Buells with 6 bottles?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not that well. Well, it depends what year you get it in. We've had San Remos before where it's been pissing rain and snowing, and if you want any sort of bit in it, you want a hot tea in there or something. But like what Alan was saying, things have changed so much with that stuff. All teams have bottle points scattered all across the stages. Just about on every single climb, there's somebody there. Obviously, that requires resources. You need to bring more staff members and a lot more logistics behind it. But what I found interesting was in that chat, if I can just briefly talk about it, was
sure.
I spoke about it with Swaino, you say on that show as well. When Alan says, how long are people's careers going to be now? And I compared it to Swaino, who he retired when he was 41 years old. Admittedly, he started a little bit later. But these guys are 20 years old, 21 years old, winning Grand Tours or fighting for podiums in Grand Tours. I really think that you're going to see these successes of these young guys when they are young. And I think the careers will be shorter. Well, they might be the same length, but because they're starting so young now, I honestly reckon that in the next 5 or 10 years, people will be retiring from cycling when they're 30, as opposed to 40 like they have been in the last few years.
And another thing is the contracts are so big for these hitters. Like, you're talking 2-3 million euro a year. You earn that for 10 years. I know I'd struggle mentally. I'd want to put the cue in the rack and go sit by the pool and relax in my mansion. It'd be hard to stay motivated after you've already done something and climbed the highest mountain.
Well, I tell you what, though, Jonesy, when you sit on in a lockdown for 4 months or 5 months and you can't race your bike, then you do start racing again. Then you crash and you're injured, and now you're sitting on the couch doing nothing again. Doesn't matter how much money you make, mate. You get bored. You get bored and you miss it. So you can pay those guys as much as they want, but I tell you what, if you rack it when you're 30 years old and you think you're going to have an enjoyable life sitting by the swimming pool,
you could always just go into podcasting, mate. You'll always have other things to do.
Yeah,
you just got to channel the boredom into other areas.
I'm also not making 3 million euros.
Now, there is a final part with Alan Peiper, and this is when Iffy goes, right, I'm going to ask the hard questions. So I really like how this one ends.
The pace of this tour has been fantastic. But when with these really high-speed stages, over stacks of mountains, they'll get to the last 15K, and there's still 30 in the lead group. That, whereas the years back, there would have been down to about 7 or 8.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that is about they're all at a high level, but there is a lot of tactical play there. A lot of Jumbo-Visma have, they don't set a pace that they can't hold, and they don't set a pace that's unnecessary according to who's out the front. Not like Sky or Ineos maybe last year tried to do, was just crushing the field. Roglic hasn't had to do that, and hasn't felt inclined to do that, to crush the field and ride away and win with 3 minutes. They've been riding very intelligently and doing what they have to do. So I think a lot more guys have been able to stay there, and I think you can see that because of the stage they called La Loza when Bahrain McLaren got on the front, for whatever reason that was. They rode the whole stage on the front and also called La Loza. And when they they backed off the pace a little bit at the bottom of Cordalosa. That's why De La Cruz went to the front to lift the pace again, to make it harder, because there were too many helpers still there. But then not only the Bahrain guys got popped, but also Dumoulin got popped and Bennett got popped. So, but those guys didn't have to ride that day. So I think everyone's on their limit. And once you go over the limit, then even Jumbo showed their vulnerability that day.
Are you expecting any surprises on stage 19 today?
I'm not really expecting any surprises. You know, the wind doesn't seem to be that much of a big thing. I'm just having a bit of a laugh with myself because there's 2 points for the mountain jersey between Carapaz and Pogacar, and there's 1 point at that fourth category mountain there. But there is 10 points at that on the top of Planche de Belfi tomorrow. So I don't know if that fourth category will mean anything. I don't think the green jersey, I think that's pretty much in the bag for Bennett. So I think it'll be down for a last gallop for most of those guys anyway before Paris.
It'll be interesting. I just thought because Trenton and Sagan are sort of a fair bit stronger than Bennett, that they, because it's fairly lumpy, even though it's not mountainous, that they might put extra pressure on trying to get rid of him, because they did get rid of him. There could be a 40 or 50 point turnaround. Yeah,
but there hasn't been really that many opportunities for Sagan to hang on a mountain and take the bonus after the mountain where Bennett's been ejected. They've made it hard a few times, and then he's lost a few points because Trenton's popped him and a couple of other guys. Yeah. But I don't think it's gone all Sagan's way. He's made a real battle of it to his credit, like a true champion. And if anything, he hasn't given it to Bennett on a platter. So I think we've seen a great race inside the race, but I think it could have been a little more demanding for Sagan. But look, they gave extra points to the flat stages to make sure that it was a sprinter who was a green jersey winner, not a climber. Yeah, so yeah. I think it's difficult to balance for the organisation as well.
We're about to let you go, but I just thought I'd ask you. What actually happened with Aru? Was he sick, or did his head just fall off?
His head fell off, mate. I think. Yeah. Well, I think he came into the race with his own aspirations. I think of riding GC. Lost a bit of time here and there and sort of everywhere. And finally, I sort of said in one of the meetings, look. From today, you've got to be the helper for today. And I think that's where his head fell off. 10 Ks into the stage, he's dropped, only man dropped, and then he's in the car and he's gone home. Was a disappointing. And of course, I realised as a champion who's won a Grand Tour before, it's tough to battle with who you are and your own expectations. But yeah, anyway. We've battled on without him.
No, and Steve, as well as I do, he would have taken that pretty well, mate.
Thanks, guys.
No worries. Appreciate your time, mate.
Sensational, mate. And great to see you looking so well, pal.
Thanks for having me on board.
Good on you, mate. Take it easy.
Bye.
Johnny.
Absolutely gold.
I reckon
it needed to be asked.
Aru's new nickname could be Petey. You know that bird off Dumb and Dumber whose head falls off? Yeah. Sorry, it's all about John. Sorry, I just tried to blend in there, but it didn't work. Now, before we get Durbo, who's waiting in the lobby, let's talk about our sponsors quickly, Johnny.
Okay. Lexus of Blackburn, our great cycling partner. If you want a car, when the lockdown unlocks, get out to Blackburn, go and see the Moore family, Andrew Moore, wonderful people, sponsors of the Bay Classic and of the Women's Hero Tour, fantastic cycling people.
Tell them if he sent you.
Yes, that might get you an extra $30 on top. Then we have the Mitchelton Hotel and Mitchelton Winery on the beautiful Goulburn River up at the Gambie. I'm heading up there next week. It is the most glorious spot, just right as the Goulburn just bends around, right around the beautiful big winery. Fantastic restaurant. There's a Aboriginal art display down in the cellar, which is just the best you'll see anywhere. And of course, most beautiful wines. So get up there. And let's go motorhomes. Now, I've got to apologise to the people I was telling you about. So the best way to get a Let's Go motorhome if you're in Victoria is to book 90 days in advance, because they haven't got the dealerships in Bendigo and Geelong, like I said. So you do have to get them from Melbourne. So a bit of a challenge at the moment. So book 90 days, early bird special, and you'll get that special deal. But for the rest of Australia, outside of Victoria, you can go and book your Let's Go motorhome right now.
All right, quick word from our mates at Bike Exchange, and then we're going to be joined by Luke Dirbridge.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Now, we're joined by a very special guest, Luke Dirbridge. Durbo, looks like you've got great Wi-Fi. I am so relieved. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can, Durbo. How are you, bud?
Hey, Iffy, how are you, mate?
Really well, really well.
Really
Great
well.
hair. Great hair.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, speaking of hair, John, what is going on with your slicks tonight? You're looking real sharp.
Well, I saw how I was in our earlier shots when we did the early interview, so I thought I'd better go and wash the hair, which I did. Yeah.
so Durbo, all the talk is obviously the World Championships next week and the TT. How are things shaping up?
Yeah, it's going really well, Jonesy. During lockdown we did a lot of ergo, home trainer, obviously, but obviously it seemed to work pretty well for the form on the TT. So unfortunately, I've actually been indoors a lot on the ergo still, even though I can get outside and ride. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, I was super nervous when Switzerland got cancelled, so I was thinking all the preparation was going to go to nothing. But I'm glad the UCI sort of jumped in and got a Worlds going. And I'm off on Monday, and see how we go.
What's the course like there, Durbo? Is it similar to the one in Switzerland, or how is the time trial course?
Yeah, they wanted to keep the courses quite similar. They had a flat TT in Switzerland and a really, really hilly road race. They've gone for the same philosophy, but it's just the shorter TT than what Switzerland was going to be. Switzerland was going to be 47K, and Imola is only 32. So it's actually quite short. Yeah, a fair bit shorter. It's relatively flat. It's only 160 or 170 meters altitude. And so I mean, they've tried to keep it the same, but it will be really fast, really, really fast TT. I'm expecting sort of super high speeds. But I guess I'll get there on Monday. No one's really seen the course that much. So I'll get there Monday, check it out a fair few times before Friday.
So with the interrupted season and so forth, have you been able to just sharpen the focus and go, right, it's all about the World's TT, and all your training and all the build-up has been for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange season. We had to look at it when we got the program, like what was going to work. Like normally I would do a grand tour during the year, but, you know, my passion and my major focus are the time trial and the classics. And if I wanted to do both, there was just no chance for me to do a grand tour. So, and I think in this sort of short, compact season, you really got to make a decision of where you want to focus. You've got to be like, I think you can only pick 2 targets maximum during this short, condensed period. So I picked the World Championships to focus for because over many years, I've sort of done a lot of Grand Tours leading into it, and I've sort of get to the World Championships, and I'm trying to sort of hold on to a dying flame. So I thought I'd potentially go into a bit more fresh and a bit more prepared. And like I said, it's a strange year, so might as well have a go at it. And so I'm looking forward to having a crack.
And obviously with the initially when the Worlds were in Switzerland, the time trial was going to be on the Sunday, which would have meant it was on the last day of the Tour de France. So like you say, Durbo, would have been impossible to do the Tour de France and the World's time trial, unless of course you pulled out of the Tour de France before the end of it, which was never going to be an option. Now that the World has been moved, the time trial is now on the Friday. So it's 6 days or 5 days after the Tour de France finishes, which could mean that these guys at the Tour de France who will now be able to race in that time trial. But you must agree with the fact that it's still not the ideal preparation for a TT, is it? I mean, you can't go to the Tour de France. Sure, you're going to come out of the Tour de France with that Grand Tour strength, that diesel engine like we talk about. You're also going to come out of it with a hell of a lot of fatigue. And most importantly, you haven't had any opportunity to ride your time trial bike. There's been no time trials at the Tour de France. The only one that there is tomorrow, and that's going to be a road bike. The guys that may come and ride the time trial now after the Tour de France, they just haven't had an ideal preparation. So the decision you made, even though now it's coincided with you could have raced the Tour de France, it still wouldn't have been the ideal preparation for the world title, would it?
No. I mean, you're totally right there, and especially when it's such a short 32K punchy effort. Like if the Worlds was 60K, a fair amount of elevation, the Tour de France may come into play. Like you said, you've got that diesel engine, but when it's sort of a short 32K punchy effort, it's going to be, I think it'd be difficult, but hey, I mean, there's freaks out there that'll be able to handle it. But for me personally, I knew that wasn't going to be an option to be able to do that. So, yeah, we'll see.
Now, you're good mates with Rowan Dennis. What's his prep been like? Have you had any mind games or trying to throw him off, even though you're on the same team?
I haven't seen Rowan in a long time. I wouldn't know. And I heard there's going to be a Ineos bubble within the Worlds. So maybe we won't even see Rowan. So, but looking at Torino, he was going well, and but Rowan's always been a really great motivator for me, considering what he's done in the time trial. And I've always sort of, over the last couple of years, especially, sort of looked up to see where he is at level wise to try and get myself to that point. So I think it's nothing but a good, healthy rivalry, and I'd like to. Hopefully get the better of him.
Well, now you've actually got the better of him at the national titles the last couple of years, actually. And I put it down to the Bay Crits, because you always ride the Bay Crits, and that brings you up for the title. It's a shame I couldn't have put a Criterium series on for you in Spain just to get you ready, mate.
Yeah, you've got to ask Lexus at Backburn if they can put one on in Girona for us next year.
Do you want me to organise one for you tomorrow, Dibs? There's an industrial park that we've used before for team time trial training. I mean, I probably won't be able to compete myself, but I can get out there with a lap board if you want.
You put some cones out. Funny thing, actually, one time before the Tour de France, that because I go well off the Bay Crits, one of my coach a couple of years ago, we'd actually set up some cones in that industrial area, and for 4 days in a row, I'd go out and do an hour semi-criterium behind the motorbike before the Tour de France to prepare. So,
I love it.
So it's not that far from the truth. I think it does work.
Remember when we did that team time trial training around there? We had the world champs in 2012 in Holland, and it was quite a technical course at times. Yeah. So we went out there with the full team time trial squad and did these cornering exercises. That was sketchy as shit.
And there was a couple of times when there was like a freight truck sort of backing out of its out of its lot to sort of go off, and we're coming full speed, and Quaddy's on the motorbike going, go through the corner full gas, go through the corner full gas, and we come around the corner and there's a truck, and it sort of backfired pretty badly.
How have you gone, Durbo, through the whole COVID lockdown? I know that you got into your sourdough bread making and things like that. It must have been a pretty tough period for everyone.
Yeah, I'm back to Wonder White now. So, all right. I survived the lockdown pretty well. I actually suffered when lockdown ended. It was kind of like I go out riding, and you for some reason had this desire to be home again. It was like really weird, like. You sort of been in your house for 2 months, and then all of a sudden you go out riding, and then you're a couple of hours out of town. You're like, I kind of need to get back home.
You know who you like? You like that old guy off Shawshank. You know, when they finally let him out of jail, he goes, starts working, and then he's I meant like he missed. Yeah, I know, but he missed the jail. Have you found the Tour de France so far? How's it been watching on the TV?
I'm a massive fan. I watch from 130k to go every day. I left training. I had a double session yesterday. I left for training at 6 p.m. because I wanted to finish the stage, and then did another 2 hours and got home at 8:30. So I've got a tipping. I've got like a betting.
Don't talk about that.
With my sister and my brother-in-law, and so every day we put our tips in, and I've been smashing it. Been absolutely smashing it.
Did you pick Kwiatkowski last night?
I picked Carapaz, so I got some good points.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's not too bad. I picked Lopez the day he won too, so that was.
Well, we actually backed Kwiatkowski. My pick. But then Jonesy cancelled the bet halfway through the stage.
Oh, why? Because Hershey was there? Or?
No, I said this at the top show. I blame Robbie McEwen because the commentary said he goes, he switched off and his day's done. Great effort. This is when he was trying to gap. So, anyway, I stuffed up.
$850. You don't trust Robbie now.
Yeah, the gurgler.
But anyway, what I wanted to do, boys, is we've got a segment on the show called the Detour DeLorean. Here's the sting.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Now, I was looking through the archives and I was trying to think of what's a good video that involves Buells and Durbo. Now, one thing we did back in the day is the Sky versus Orica Green Edge challenges. And remember, we set them all up and it was like games of darts and Geraint Thomas and the guys were in it. And they rolled us. They beat us 3-2. So it was a real redemption in the 2015 edition of the Tour Down Under. Now, one thing that we all came to agree was we'd play a game of FIFA on the Xbox, and Xbox got involved. They set up the big screen. It was all great. And part of the conditions were, none of our guys had really played the game that much. And remember Sutto? CJ was like, I haven't really played it that much. So we thought the teams were even. And Daryl Impey was the team manager for Orica Green Edge. And Durbo was on the side. Bewley was on the side. We had the cricket uniforms. I want to play part one. We got off to a shocker because CJ lied. He was an absolute boffin on the game. And it was a bit of a bloodbath at halftime. This is the first part of the video.
Opportunity here. Has a go. Well, this needs to be a true contest some time ago. It's a landslide victory.
Even at halftime, he could be the first manager to get sacked mid-game.
But a lot of pressure, coming into this game. We've been told a few things. We've been told that these guys never ever really played FIFA before, like the rest of our team. So we've made a few adjustments. We've put in an official complaint to the managing director, and this is what we've come up with. We've also made a substitution of our own. Looks like Michael Hepburn has now taken to the thing. And Heyman. What do you think?
So you make the most of your numerical advantage by scoring.
Whack. Come on, mate. He's going to cry. No, he's all right. Sorry.
They're big bullies, eh?
What a second look, Andy. Here you go. a good cross. Instant hit. Chasing a big lead. That's a
We've come back in the right way. Look, we've scored 2 goals, but I think we've saved our best till last. And Heyman's got a lot of experience in this game.
You're playing a bit dirty considering you're playing 9-year-old kids.
At this point of the game, it's about winning. We do everything we can to win, and that's what we're doing.
So they brought in the little kids, and it's getting to like the real nail-breaking part of the game. At this point, Bills, did you have any regrets that you didn't just score the goal? You literally slammed it in their faces, and these kids were shattered. Did you have any remorse?
No, none. They've got to learn. To teach them young. No, I felt pretty bad actually for a moment there. Until we scored the next goal.
But to set the scene now, you were down 7-1 at halftime. You claw the way back. CJ gets antsy because he's like, all right, you've had your fun now. They bring back their A-list team, and this is what happens in the finale.
Conveyor belt of goals in this game. Look at this, they've not picked him up. Oh! It's a superlative display of finishing. Might have a chance. Oh! He was there, still a chance. That's the end of the 90 minutes, and there is nothing to separate these two. Still level pegging.
I think I played out of my skin there. I was let down by my team. I mean, CJ couldn't tell the difference between red and yellow, and just all went downhill from there. I just feel bad for the fans. I mean, look at these guys. They travelled all this distance just to see a poor performance like that.
Put in a solid effort.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed with the Green Edge guys' conduct?
Just got back.
Hey?
Just got back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm devastated, mate. I just can't believe it.
Who was the goalie?
Luke.
CJ.
Luke just wrecked it. Mate, I just can't believe it.
That's probably one of the biggest sporting great moments ever seen in football. I think a comeback like that. We've got the player of the match right next to me on this side. It was a great game, mate. That goal at the end was like Joel Stransky in the 95 World Cup. It was fantastic when we scored that goal there at the...
How do you feel, dudes? Don't you remember?
I feel relieved, you know. It was just a big weight coming into the game. We knew we were hands down favourites, and we started really badly, really badly. And then, but we came back, and obviously the rightful winners on the end of the day won, you know. By far the better team.
Eamon, did you touch the ball?
I seem to be, my guys seem to be falling down a lot. I just might have to brush up on the buttons, but no, look, the boys did great today. I mean, I can't thank them enough. It was a team effort, and you know, they got a little bit sloppy there putting the young boys in. I think a little bit overconfident.
Firstly, I'd like to apologise to those young boys. I might have taken it a bit far at one point, but you know, I had the hunger in my belly, and we were down by 5-6 goals at that point, and you know, there was only one way to come back, and that was emotional games. You know, so worked in the end, and Luke performed unbelievably today with the biggest fluke we've ever seen. So yeah, nice.
Fantastic game of soccer, football, whatever you call it. I think the real win at the end of the day was cycling.
Oh, great memories.
That was good fun.
That was. That was.
I love how you when you're nervous, you take your shoes off. You take your shoes off all the time. You're just playing barefoot the whole time.
Yeah. I don't wear shoes.
And I'm
a big believer in not wearing shoes.
There's this one moment when
But
we
I
score
just-
that goal, the mum of the poor kid starts patting the kids like it's okay. They're not yelling at you.
I know.
You know.
I know. And it wasn't until afterwards that we were talking to Rowie, I think, at the next stage. He said, mate, those kids were actually shattered. And then we were like, yeah, we took that way too far, like way too far.
I was more annoyed when Imps brought up Joel Stransky to me. I just about clipped him when he said that. You guys probably don't know who Joel Stransky is. But,
Never heard of him.
He kicked the winning points in the Springboks versus All Blacks World Cup final when the Box put us away in the final. So it hurt me.
Keep the comments rolling in. A lot of people asking for who are the tips for tonight's stage. Who are we thinking, guys? Like, it's going to be, as we've seen with the profile, it's probably going to be a reduced sprint. They'll be driving it to get those sprint points and trying to distance themselves, obviously from Caleb. I reckon Wout van Aert, iffy.
Yeah, well, he's a red hot favourite at $4.50, so he's going to be hard to beat. But I'm going to a little bit better odds, and I'm going to go for Luka Mezgets.
Yeah, that would be great to see, Luka.
$14, and if we do back it, just let it ride, mate. Let it ride.
Oh, what you don't reckon I've learnt that lesson, John? What were you going to say?
So, what do you reckon, Bills? Who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to back Meza as well because for a number of reasons. There's 13 teams in this race that haven't won a stage yet. This is their last chance, basically. So the battle for the breakaway is going to be on. It's going to be a long, hard start. The sprint team's going to have trouble controlling that. But it's going to be a sprint. It's going to be a sprint from a really small, reduced group because I believe that Sagan, like Whitey said, Bora's going to make it really, really hard to try to get rid of Bennett so he can have a shot at getting some points back there. I think our team's going to benefit from it being hard and maybe they will even make it hard themselves and Meza will be there. And the main reason I'm backing Meza is because we saw in Whitey's interview, he's got the dress shirt on. He's got the business shirt on. And that means one thing. It's business time.
I didn't even think of that, but you are bang on. And I think he even put some more product in the locks.
Yeah.
So it's all pointing towards the stage win. What about you, Durbo?
I think I'm picking Bennett just because, I mean, I hear all this. I would actually, personal favourite, obviously want Luka to win. But the reason is that I think Bennett and some of the sprinters have been sort of reserved with their energy considering how hard the last week has been. But now they know they can get to Paris because they got through today, the time trial tomorrow, and then they're off to Paris. So I reckon Bennett will pull something out ridiculously hard to hold on, and I reckon we'll see him at the finish because I think before maybe he's being conservative considering how hard the mountain stages are coming. So I'm going to pick Bennett.
Really big call to back George Bennett on a stage like this, but
not a noted sprinter.
As you choose.
Well, on the social distance, he's been feeling really good, so
he's been having a shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been a monster show. Anything before we go, John?
Oh, just back on the time trial because I reckon you were a big chance for the time trial. So Rowan Dennis, of course, going for his third world title, but Victor Campenaerts, or however you say his name, Victor, is in really good form. He must be also be one of the hardest to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair few, but personally, I think the favourite's got to be Filippo Ganna. Considering how short it is, he just destroyed Torino TT the other day. He put 18 seconds over 10K into Victor and 20 into Rowan over 10K. You know, home worlds, Imola. Yeah, I think he's probably one of the favourites. Those three guys are the main guys, I would say. But you know, there's a lot of like you said, we don't know how guys are going to come out of the Tour de France, and someone like Stefan Kung, who won the Europeans over the similar distance against Victor and a few of those guys. So I think it's going to be one for maybe bigger, stronger, like flatter guys. TT. It might not be a one for a smaller guy, but hey, we'll see.
I see Kung pulled out of the Tour de France 2 days ago just to prepare for the Worlds. Yeah.
So, hey, what about the road race? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, well, Derbs, I'm a patriotic Kiwi, but I'll be wearing green and gold next Friday, mate, watching you.
Appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
I'll be drinking. I'm going to drink a couple of 4X. I'll see if I can import some 4X golds.
I'm not a Queenslander, mate. I'm not a Queenslander, so
no. He's an emu lager guy.
Little creature. Get a couple of little creatures over here.
Swan draft.
Oh,
jeez. What about the road race? Is Simon Yates going to do the road race?
I actually don't know.
I bloody hope so.
I don't reckon.
He's going to win the Giro.
He's going to win the Giro, mate.
He can win this world title as well. I mean, it is a perfect course for him.
Why not do the Giro with the rainbow bands?
That would
just
be
a risk.
Cool.
It's just a risk, mate. Imagine going to the Worlds and crashing.
Come on. Was it Stephen Roach?
Soft.
Stephen Roach won the Giro and the World Bands, was it?
Yeah.
No, he won the Giro, the Tour, and the Worlds at the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, be interesting. All right. Well, that wraps a massive show. Thanks for joining us, Durbo. As we always say, guys, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just search the Detour Podcast. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Detour Pod. And make sure you get behind Durbo in his assault to win the Rainbow Bands in the time trial. Bewley's on board. He's switched allegiances. So surely that's got to count for something. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then.
This is the winning ride